Hey guys. Well, tonight's live feed is going to be a general conversation. I'm going to focus a little bit on what it's like living out of my car, but more just really a relaxed general conversation about where I'm at in my journey, my current thoughts, my current plans, because I'm just in a relaxed mood. A lot of my videos, especially my live feeds, are very intense, focused on a specific topic, and it's good. It's good to structure what you want to say and then get off the stage. But it's also good to have balance and to take a breath and to take a pause and reflect. Okay, to be a well balanced person and to allow yourself and your soul give the message rather than anything else. Savat, good to see you, brother. How are you, man? Are you on your journey down to Florida? You know, it's the middle of September. And one of the reasons I'm kind of in a relaxed mood is because the weather temperatures have mellowed out. And living in your car, one of your biggest hurdles is dealing with extreme temperatures, extreme heat, and extreme cold. That's what I found in my 3 years living in my car the toughest. That and obviously finding safe and legal parking, which can be worked out through campgrounds, stealth camping, etc. But I could tell you that, now the temperatures in New Jersey are, high 70s during the day, mid 60s or even 50s at night coming up. And that's perfect camping weather. And that's the only reason why I'm still up in New Jersey. I want to get a couple weeks of that before I head down to Florida, because it's still very hot in Florida with the humidity levels, and they're still at the tail end of hurricane season. Hurricane season doesn't officially end, I think, till the end of October. But once you get out of September, the odds are you pretty much made it out of hurricane season. So through my experience of being down there during that time, living in my car, I kind of choosing which wisest and checking the weather and knowing what you're up against is very important when you live in your car. Your weather, you're in tune with it. Your body syncs with the weather because you don't have an insulated house, you don't have temperature control. Now, one of the things I did this weekend was I looked at alternative vehicle, okay, to solve the temperature control. I've shared with you guys that I'm really not focused at this time on getting an RV. Why? Because it's too much entanglement. It doesn't really, it takes away from my freedom and flexibility. It solves climate control, but it anchors me to campgrounds, and I'm not going to be able to DoorDash if I needed it. And I like the feel and the drive of a car SUV. Years ago when I did electrical contracting, I had a Ford E250 van, and I hated the way it drove. I test drove a couple RVs, mainly Class Bs, and even though some of them have a decent feel, I don't think I want to drive that every day yet. As I get older, I'll look at that. So what I've been sharing is obviously the hybrid vehicles such as Prius or the RAV4, that's been an option. But more so, I've been looking even at the hybrid plugins, which have the electric and the hybrid option, such as the RAV4 Prime, which is very expensive though, almost 50 grand. And one that I found this weekend I was interested in was the Kia Niro hybrid plug-in. They have a hybrid plug-in model. So I went to a Kia dealership in New Jersey, and they said they had one online, but when I got there wasn't any in stock. So I just looked around the car lot, just to, window shop, look around. And I'll tell you one car that's very cost effective that I would recommend, especially to younger people, is the Kia Soul. Now, I dated a girl with a Kia Soul, a little bit of a train wreck, but it's very similar to the Jeep Renegade. Now, it doesn't solve the climate control, but I found the 2021 Kia Soul GT model very appealing to the eyes, and it was listed at like 21,000 stickers, so you can negotiate that down. Gangster Talk, brother, thank you for the super chat. I'm so jealous of your freedom, I believe you said to him. Thank you, brother. I appreciate your love, and I know that's not jealousy. You're just sharing your heart. I have a medical condition that makes me need a place. Well, Gangster Talk, one is thank you for your graciousness, brother, because you've been very gracious. Two is, that's a good point. That one is it's humbling to have your health. And I realize that's a one advantage that I have that not maybe everyone has. And I recognize that. I don't take that for granted. I'm not prideful in that. Now, I put a lot of work at this point in my life as a middle-aged man, like what I put in my body as far as food. I really don't eat fast food. I really don't eat a lot of junk. And I also keep in mind how I exercise, light walk, light workout, and also my stress. Part of my big struggle this summer, because again, I look at health as mind, body, soul, comprehensive. Because once you get caught in the healthcare system, disaster. And but even if it wasn't the healthcare system, it's just that I know that some people are born or they have certain issues that either can't be cured or they're handicapped with. Now, there's also a psychological thing there, because I saw a YouTube video recommended to me. It said 68-year-old disabled woman builds a box van. And I think that's hypocrisy. If you're disabled, how do you have the capacity to build a box van? Like that's where, like that whole Bob Wells mindset. Bob Wells, he was riding a motorcycle. He filed for disability. And then I don't know, every teach their own. I don't hate on it, but I just think that, if you can't do something, I think you should get a great amount of assistance. I really do. And I'm for that. But I also think that don't be a hypocrite. Don't say that you're disabled and then build a box van, because those are total opposites. Like the nomad life itself is an independent lifestyle. I'm not saying you can't live it different ways than I live it, but it requires, to gangsters talks, your health. And I would say living in your car, that's your number one risk. My number one risk right now is, God forbid, I break my leg. God forbid I have a severe illness. I have to get off the road and I'm going to, have to scramble for housing. Okay. And, obviously I could rent, Airbnb, and those would be my options, but that's not ideal, So, especially when you're in a trauma situation, if you get hurt suddenly or you have a sickness. So I take a calculated risk. What does that mean? Well, I analyze my age. I'm a 40-year-old man. Okay. And I take relatively good care of myself. Again, that I still have health insurance. I still have disability insurance. I pay for extra disability insurance with my job, so that if I get disabled, not only will I have like whatever you get from the state, but supplemental. So guys, when you're young, middle-aged, and you're working, you should not only pay for health insurance, you should have supplemental disability insurance. Why? Because once you get disabled, you can't go out there and work. You can't DoorDash. So you're fixed. And so if you have the capacity, it's something you got to think about, right? So I think a lot of time insurances are scams, but driving is dangerous. So you need to have the adequate amount of insurance. Healthcare is the number one cause of bankruptcy in America. So you got to have healthcare if you're wise. And then two is disability. I don't know the stats, but I think they only pay you 50 to 70% or something like that of your normal salary, depending on your work history. So, you have to figure that, God forbid, if I get disabled, what's my exit strategy? You always have to look at your exit strategy. And the nomad life, living in your car, is high risk, high reward. But don't forget, high risk doesn't always mean you get rewarded. Sometimes you take a high risk and there's high failure. So you buffer that failure through a fully funded savings account, through insurances, health insurance, car insurance, disability insurance, maybe roadside assistance insurance, okay, et cetera. You see where I'm going? And I do look at, when I'm 50 and 60, I will start transitioning either to a fully self-contained RV or a small little shack. Now, even now, I keep my eye out for both of those things. And I will, again, once I get back down to Florida in a couple of weeks, I'm going to seriously be back looking at what are my options to change some of my lifestyle. Meaning like either to get a home base or to get an RV. Now, I'm not going to jump into it. I'm not going to just jump into a home base. I'm not going to just jump into an RV, because once you get into them, it's an entanglement. But the value is stability. Okay. And living in your car, you got great freedom, but you got a lot of volatility. You're volatile with the weather. You're volatile if, again, you got shutdowns, whether it's coronavirus or whatever. The coronavirus really threw society in a tailspin. And I obviously, look, I think it was handled very poorly. But the bottom line is, it is what it is. And now, one thing I want to say positive about it is that I got reinforced that as much as I love my mother and I know she loves me, I am not meant to spend that much time around my family. And not my mom doesn't want it and I don't want it. My mom has a certain way she wants to live and I have a certain way I want to live. And that cannot coexist at a certain duration point. Meaning, like, it's great to visit for a couple of weeks or even a couple months. I mean, that's long, but several months is not healthy. Okay. And I had no plan and I would never do what I did, which is come up here and spend several months. But when the coronavirus hit in March, I was in such a tailspin that, I wasn't really sure what the next step was. And then time you get up here, it's summertime. It's like, what do I do next? It's like, just wait it out. And I paid the price, got in a couple arguments with family and, but on the positive, I think you need reinforcement that you have to walk a level of your journey alone. You need reinforcement that, at a certain point in your life, you can't save, I couldn't save my aging dog. I can't save my aging mom, and they don't need saving. People don't need saving. In our minds, sometimes we want to act like we're saving people. And that really messed me up a few points. And I see you, Mike Reed. I'm going to read your comment. That really messed me up a few times with relationships, with lovers, with friends, and with relatives, is that sometimes you feel you have to save people. And that's the worst thing you can do because you suffocate them. Okay. And how you know that is you have to look at the friends and the lovers that you had and the family members. When you feel suffocated, you push away. When someone is too into you, you push away. When someone tries to help you too much, you feel like, give me my space to figure it out myself. And it's like that no matter what, when someone's young, old, in the middle. People need space to figure it out themselves. Now, you do need your health, to Gangster Talk's point, but all I can tell you is, as best you can, maintain your health, keep your health, and try to get your health back. Because, look, when I had nerve damage, my body was messed up for about 12, 18 months. Now, I was still able to function. I realize other people have it worse, but I had a lot of decisions to make with changing my diet, changing my stress, and if you have a health scare in life, use it as an opportunity to reposition your life. It's like one of those times in lives where negative things can turn into positives, like negative emotions like hate and anger. If you really look at them and what's causing them, and if you change your life, they can actually help you. Like, it's really not until you hate your circumstance, you hate your surroundings, you hate your marriage, you hate your family, you hate your friends, you hate your health, it's not until you get excited, like pissed, until you can do something. So you try to funnel that in a way where you direct all that energy at yourself and not at your mother, or not your friends, not your lover, just yourself. Because you're not going to change your mother, you're not going to change your spouse, you're not going to change your children. And like, I had to get that reinforced. Even though I knew it, I had to see it again. And it's like, my mother hasn't changed, my sisters haven't changed, but that's okay, because that's their life. I have to keep living my life. Thank you, Gangster Talk, for your graciousness, brother. I appreciate you having a heart of patience. And thank you, Mike Reed and Savat. Thank you, Gangster Talk. I really took some hits mentally these past few months, okay? But it's good, like I say, when you go in a boxing ring, when you do anything in life, you're going to get hit. If you don't want to get hit in life, you can hide under your bed, but then you're just going to suffer anxiety because you got unused energy. You're not in the game. You're not engaged. When you go to work, yeah, you're going to have, contentious conversations. You're going to not always have people talk to you great. But the opposite of not working is not getting paid, not being independent. So I understand why a lot of people stop working, why a lot of people stop living, because they can't take the hit anymore. But they suffer more. Like, I saw family members that, yeah, they do have some legit issues, quote unquote disabilities, but they don't work. They have unhealthy relationships. Their health is worse than ever because they're drinking, they're hanging around with the wrong people, and they're destroying their life. And there's a vicious cycle in life. Okay. Humans are creatures of habit. And it's so hard to change a habit because it's like you have to stop the spinning of Earth, right? And you have to like get so focused and intense on creating change in your life that you have to have a singular mind with not a lot of distractions. And that's where I feel minimalism and not having not a lot of people having your number, not having a YouTube channel or whatever until you really have a focus on what you want to do with your life. Okay. Because, whether it's insecurities, whether it's your family, I think about some of the people who told me, like, Sam, you should go see your mother during the coronavirus. Like, you have to go see her. It's not right if you don't go see her. And a lot of them were women that were wishing that their son would go see him. But it was the wrong thing for me to come up here. I'm glad I did because we didn't know what was going to happen. But I know now that there's only certain time periods you should be with certain people. And that's for you to decide, not someone else, okay? A lot of times it's other people's insecurities that are screaming to you. Again, they're saying, oh, you should go see your mother. That's them, and their own children don't want to see them. Mike Reed says, Sam, Rusty is catching a lot of trolls hating on him buying the brand new Class C. I can tell it pisses him off. Well, I know from being a YouTube watcher and a YouTube creator that it is tough. I know from being a business owner and working for other people that I understand both perspectives. I used to leave a lot of comments on Rusty's channel. I PayPal'd him, I did him a lot of things, and I don't expect anything back. But at a certain point, I realized, like, we're just too different. Like, he has a different philosophy on politics, on life. He's a different generation. And at a certain point, I never trolled him, and I never said anything negative about him. But at a certain point, I just said, well, I still enjoy his videos, but we're just two different people, so I'm just not going to comment. He's even admitted it. His own children don't really talk to him. And for a while, like, he blasted Patreon, and now he has Patreon, It's like, so, but I've been down that road too, It's like, for a while you say, like, don't have Amazon, and I've done those things too, because it's not worth your while if you don't. So I understand it. And it gives me balance. What I've learned now in maturing on a level of social media can be very tough mentally, is that one is you got to have boundaries, okay? Now, it's like anything in life. When you first start, you're not going to have boundaries because you don't know the boundaries, what they should be and they shouldn't. It's trial and error, okay? But once you kind of figure out a rhythm for you and what you want to do, every boundary has a consequence. What does that mean? Like, I put up certain boundaries with my father, cut out inheritance. I've blocked people that have PayPal'd me. I've blocked people that have been members. But it's also kept peace in my mind, and it's kept my healthy growing. It just says to me, I want to grow in a certain way, and if I can't grow this way, I'll do something else. Okay, that's why I always tell you, everyone out there who wants to be a YouTuber, I think you should go after it, but you have to realize it is a side hustle. Okay, you have to realize Rusty himself was living in poverty on like $1,200 Social Security before YouTube. And once YouTube came, eventually he worked, he earned it. He uploads videos daily. He provides good content. He helped me, inspired me a lot. But he has a recurring pattern of making reckless changes. But who am I to say, right? And that's why I don't say on his channel, because I'm not going to play that game and say, like, you're making reckless changes. That's my opinion. And he don't need to hear that. Just like I don't need to hear other people's opinions. So I keep that to myself. I watch his channel and I appreciate it. And if I don't appreciate it, I don't watch. And I outgrow it. There'll be people that outgrow my channel. You'll outgrow things in life. All those things are okay. But what I could tell any nomad out there, anyone living in your car, be very intentional and slow to commit to an RV, because it's a huge trap. Okay. And you have to consider your age, though, right? I'm a 40-year-old man, so it doesn't really make sense. I don't really need a big RV. Okay? Rusty's a 75-year-old man, so I can understand he needs more comfort. So age determines a big part of a nomadic setup, okay, along with personality. So, Nomadic Fanatic, I liked when he had the van, but that's not what inspires him. He likes the RVs. Now, he pays a price for it, But that's his thing. Like, he likes to collect Mickey shit and he likes to have a home base. So in the beginning, I caught myself like trying to tell them what to do in my mind. And now, like, I'll laugh about it and I'll share with you if you ask, but I kind of like, if I don't agree with it, I just mind my business, and I just do me. But I've only learned that because I've been a creator and a watcher. Like I always tell you, you should start a business and you should work for other people. You should have both perspectives because it just makes you more well-rounded. Mike Reed, I hear you, Sam. I keep any stupid talk with my father to a minimum. Thumbs up to that. The miserable love company and bitch more. Yeah, you can't win with miserable people just for the fact that you got to think about it. When you're upset, you're not going to be able to really have a positive conversation with anyone. However, I will say this. Look, when I'm upset, I try to really be cautious not to put that on someone else, whether it's at work or in public. I'm very diplomatic. I mean, obviously, if someone asks me something direct, I'll answer direct. But on my videos, I'm intense. But for me, I've learned in life it's wise to be somewhat political without being hypocritical. And you can. Like, don't despise being polite or, now I'm not, I'm intense on YouTube. I know that. So I'm saying there's a way to not pander, but to also be politically wise, okay, in your movements of life. And especially at work, but even this past summer, one thing I learned is there's no way I should ever spend as much time as I spent with certain family members. But I did it to myself, and I just got some things reinforced. So I failed a little bit. Sometimes we fail. But like I say, if you're not living life if you're not failing. Now, hopefully, you're analyzing and correcting behavior you need to. Not because other people tell you, but because, you're doing self-care, self-work. And, one good thing about knowing that someone is not for you, like if you break up with someone and you go back to them and then you realize, like, what the fuck am I doing here? I remember breaking up with someone and then I called my ex up just to have someone to go out to so I wasn't feeling lonely. And I remember going out to dinner with my ex like the week after I broke up with the girl I wanted to be with. And in my mind, I was saying to myself, why am I here? There's a reason, like, we're not together. But I wanted to compensate for that, like, emotional void. But when I sat there, I knew that was the last time I would ever see her because, we're just two different people. And, like, it's tough when you're dealing with parents because they're older, they've done things for you, but look, they're going to die. It's horrible. But I don't think it's going to be better if you stay with them and there's more fighting. So, when should you move out? By 25? Just don't buy an expensive house. Should you move back in with your parents if it's an emergency? Sure, but there's a price to pay. And if you can help it, try to move out. Even me, I will never, if I could help it, I will never spend this much time up north with my family again. I'll figure out something in Florida, whether I rent something or if I get an RV, if like there was ever like a shutdown like there was. And if my mom ever got to a point where she was destitute, I would tell her. I tell her every day, even here, like, I'll rent something for her in Florida. But she's not ready to go to Florida because that's not her dream, to be honest with you. Her dream is not my dream. And that's part of when you become an adult, like, the separation between a parent and a child is so hard because your parents created you, okay? Sometimes by accident, sometimes on purpose, and sometimes you wish your parents didn't create you. But bottom line is you're here, so you make the most of it now. And so your parents have an idea of you and the role you play in their life. Because when they had you, whether it was by accident or on purpose, they had a picture of you as a child and they got to call the shots. You lived in their house, they try to guide you. Maybe they even helped you in major ways. But then you get to a point where you find your voice, you find your path, and, you try to pay them back in certain ways, but the best way you pay back is you got to live your life, And like, again, if the cycle comes full circle where your parents have to live with you, then you just have to remember when you lived with your parents, it was on your parents' terms. So when your parents live with you, it's on your terms. Now, some people may not like that, but that's the reality of a cycle of life, And that's why, people want to keep their independence as long as they can. And it's a tough thing. Truth, what's up, brother? Great to see you, man. I appreciate everyone, man. Love to all my members. Savat, love to you. Gangster Talk, thank you for the graciousness. Mike Reed, you're always very supportive. Thank you. Truth, shout out to you, man. Let's take a hydration break, guys. Yeah, I feel relaxed tonight, man. It's just a general conversation. But, yeah, I like the Kia Soul GT. There's no RVs that are on the market right now that inspire me. There's still an RV shortage. I think as we get to next year and the year after that, I do think there's going to be a lot more RVs on the market. I think, housing is one thing, but a boom in RVs is another. Because you still have to have somewhere to park the RV. And the RV lifestyle, while it's very exciting, for most people, it's not sustainable. So unlike housing, where even though your housing becomes a drag, most people can sustain it. It may not be inspiring, but it's a sustainable, stable lifestyle. And the thing with the RV lifestyle is it's not. It's a transitional lifestyle for most people. There's exceptions. And, do I feel burnt out, 3 years living in my car? A little bit. Yeah, there's a little burnout, to be honest with you. Now, I always try to analyze in my mind, well, okay, I remember getting burnt out after owning a home for 15 years. So what's better? And due to the fact that I have that experience and self-control, I say to myself right now, living in a car is better because it's less entanglement, more freedom. But my age and my health determine me being able to say that. Because if my health took a turn for the worse, or as I get older, I need to add more comfort and stability. And I'm looking at that, but I'm trying to look at it like a surgeon, not like a butcher, so that I make a wise decision where, I position myself for the later years where, you can't make too many rash decisions as you get older. Truth. Oh, I apologize. Mike Reed said, I think people impulse buy these damn RVs. There's no doubt about it, Mike. Humans make most of their decisions emotionally. They buy emotionally. They vote emotionally. They date emotionally. Very few decisions by humans are logical. Okay, it's mostly emotional. Especially like I was on the car lot this weekend. It's an emotional experience. Nice looking cars, reasonable payments. Even if it says, oh yeah, 70. You can pay 0 interest for 75 months, and all that's fine. But it's like it's an emotional experience, and that's why I tell you before any big purchase. And I define a big purchase, anything more than $5,000. Any purchase that exceeds $5,000, wait 48 hours, okay? Because you need to let that emotion bleed off your soul. And if after 48 hours, if you've ran the numbers, if you've done the math, if and you still want to go forward, then at least it gives you a better shot. But if you go on a car lot, if you go on an RV lot, or if you go home shopping or whatever, or if you go to Las Vegas to get married, if you do something very rushed, it's not like you're guaranteed to fail, but your risk of failure increases tremendously. And in life, look, life is risky. Okay, there's nothing you can do in life without risk. But what you're trying to do as you mature and get wiser is you're trying to mitigate risk and take calculated risk so that you don't have as much failure. You're always going to have failure. You're always going to get hit, but you don't want to waste time, energy, and resources on reckless decisions. You want your decisions, to be calculated, to be precise, to a certain level. Truth. I owned the Transit Connect. That was like the first little cargo van. Those were cute. For 3 years. And it is the ideal camper car. Very cute and very much so. But yeah, the Ford Transit Connect, the NV200, the Nissan NV200, which my member ESP lives out of in Alaska, female living in Alaska. What's the other one? The small Dodge ProMaster is also like, they also have a cute little cargo van. So I looked at those when I first started. I did some videos on them, but I decided, well, it's not much different than my Jeep Renegade. And at that time I already had the Jeep. So to change from the Jeep to a Transit Connect, it didn't get me enough. and it's, I don't want to drive a cargo van. Those are a little bit different, but um so you know, like again, I like that Kia Soul, but I said to myself, Sam, what's the difference between this and that? Nothing really. I mean, that's brand new. That's got 0 miles. Mine's got 160,000 miles. So I kind of reset the clock on wear and tear, but I don't solve my temperature control and my place to park. Right now, living in my car, what are my two biggest problems that I want to solve within the next 12 months? Temperature control for the extreme heat mainly, because I'm probably never going to have to deal with winter again because I'm not coming back up north unless it's an emergency. And so I need temperature control for the hot nights, and I won't say I need places to park, but I would like more options on places to park. So that's why I really kind of honed in, or I'm really focusing and looking at the hybrid plug-in, because it gives you the ability to run your air conditioning at night. And if it's a plug-in, then you can also legally park at a charging station during the nighttime, and you've solved two problems. Now, the only negative is most of them are costly, anywhere between 35 to 50 grand for a new one. Now, there's some used ones on the market, such as the Nissan Leaf, such as the Chevy Bolt, but they don't do it for me. So, they have a practical purpose, but I don't really desire those. But, look, I do feel good, at least that, like I said, I made it out of the height of summer. I feel very good that I'm close to Florida. And I was tempted to, I was thinking about it today. I said, do I want to go this weekend? I mean, right now I'm going to take it week by week. Like last week I was thinking, well, I'm going to wait until the end of October to go to Florida, but I may not wait that long. Right now, my plan, I told my mother this, right now my plan is I'm going to take it week by week. So there will come a week in the next coming weeks that there's a Friday, and on the Friday I'm just going to head south, and I'll be in Florida by the end of the weekend. And so I'm looking forward to that. And again, when you drive from New Jersey to Florida, you want to make it a 2-day trip. You want to stop at the end of North Carolina or the beginning of South Carolina, sleep for 6-8 hours, and then head back south, and then you'll get there next day. So there's plenty of rest areas off I-95, which is the major highway that hugs the east coast of America. And so there's plenty of hotels if you wanted to stop at a hotel, so you'd have no problem there. Let's take a hydration break. Thank you again to Savat, Mike Reed, Gangster Talk for the super chats. Truth out there. Thank you to all my members who watched, everyone who clicks the thumbs up. Yeah, but overall, I feel at peace today. I feel I'm headed in a good direction. I'm glad that I've been consistent with the gym. It's felt great to get back in the gym. And it's a luxury to be able to work out, Gangster Talk was like basically saying, don't take your health for granted. I don't take my health for granted, and that's why I watch what you eat, man. Do what you can to preserve your health. There's some things we can't control, but I think about that when I want to have something extra, too much. I think about, don't have too much, Sam, don't have too much. And that, again, I think there's value. Like I said, there's value in being a YouTube watcher and a YouTube creator. There's value in being an employee and an employer. And there's value in being obese and almost anorexic. Is that you kind of see what both ends of the spectrum are like, and you try to find a level of balance for you as an individual. And you dial it in to what you need. And because it's true, it's like, until you experience certain things, you don't know what your balance is, And I know I'm at an extreme minimalistic point in my life, but I know at some point I'm going to add some balance. Just like I got an extreme part of weight loss. I was very extreme. I was very, basically anorexic. I know I got a very extreme a little bit at times with religion. I got very deep into studying theology. But I know at a certain point, I dial it back and I balance out my life. For me, again, balance is an individual thing. But, that was kind of Buddha's whole message, pretty much, was he went on a journey of enlightenment. And basically what he found was, through all the different extremes, some of which I referenced, is that what you want to find is balance. Okay. And Balance is not exciting. A balanced diet is not exciting. A balanced diet will not help you lose weight. You have to get extreme to lose weight. Uh, a balanced career will not change the industry you're in. You have to get extreme if you're going to change from construction to the corporate world. There's times in life for you to move the needle, you have to get extreme. Okay. Now you have to take calculated risk, and you're going to have extreme failure. Guys, you think I haven't fell flat on my face at different points in my life? Big time. So, that's part of the game. It's like, you're not going to just get to the end zone without getting hit. It doesn't happen. And if it does, it's rare. Celebrate, because you're going to get hit the next time you go on offense. So, this is, it's what we learn in life, and, life's an interesting thing, a lot of it's psychological, a lot of life is your mindset, Now, again, there's a lot to it that's action and physically doing, okay? Like, my mom had like the alert on her car that your tire pressure is low, because the temperatures have been cooling off. And when the temperatures cool off, your tires lose air. And if you have a relatively new car, there's a temperature sensor that says like your air levels are low in your tires. So I took my mom to the gas station to fill her tires up. So she goes, Sam, what would I do if you're not here? I said, Ma, I said, you're still able to put air in a tire. I said, here, you come out of the car, you put air in this tire. But I had to give her the thing and show her, it was very easy. I mean, you got to be able to do a little, but she was able to do it. And you have to do, okay? There's a part of life where you got to think and plan, but there's, you just got to fucking do some things too and figure it out. Go back to live comments. True says, I own the newer one. Oh, okay. Mike Reed, at least we live in the U.S. It takes a lot to be totally destitute. Yeah, you'll never starve to death in the U.S. Now, if you have mental issues or extreme physical ones, it's tough. But it's going to be tough no matter where you live. And that's why I tell you, if you're working, get supplemental disability insurance so you have extra money. But a big part of it is just a big part of it you can control. Okay. You can control if you're going to show up to work, even when you're not having a great time with your manager. You can control if you're going to cut your budget and live below your means. All these things are going to be painful. Look, you can control to work and then study at night and then get certifications on your off hours instead of going to school and not working and trying to figure your way out to the top. Like, some people try to figure their way to prosperity by getting degrees, but they never work. That's like, like Dave Ramsey always says, like, you can't borrow your way out of debt. Well, guys, you can't go to school your way out of a career. Like, you can't get enough degrees that's going to make up for certain experience. You got to get out there and work, So, look, we are blessed to be in the U.S., no doubt. The U.S. healthcare system is a disaster. We pay more than any other country. Every other first world country has universal health care. Now, we have Medicare and we have Medicaid, which is for the elderly and the very poor. So, there's some things that need to be sharpened. We definitely didn't need to sharpen corporate tax reform and go into a huge deficit to do it, but we did. We went backwards. Okay. And so, but I'm not anti-corporation. I'm pro-corporation. Google, YouTube's a corporation. So I'm just saying we need, I don't know. I think no matter what, look, the game is always going to be the game. I'm not what they call like an idealist, meaning that I don't think you're ever going to have a system that is so wonderful and perfect like it's utopia. I do think, and history shows it, that if you put some effort and if you vote and if you do get involved, you push a little bit, I do think you make the system a little bit better. Guys, 100 years ago, we didn't have Social Security. 100 years ago, we didn't have the Medicare. 100 years ago, we didn't have disability. We didn't have unemployment benefits. We're in a better position. We didn't have the internet. Corporations making more money than ever, and we got more social programs than ever. So we've made a lot of progress in 100 years. And in 100 years from now, I think we'll be better too. I think we'll all be dead. All of us probably 100 years from now, we're all going to be dead. And that's okay. It's part of the cycle of life. It is what it is. You got to take life one day at a time, but you can't wait for the perfect conditions to live your life. Now, you shouldn't quit your job and live in your car and try to retire early. What you should do is figure out a way that you can cut your expenses, maybe live in your car, keep a job, and then build up so that it feels like you're already retired. And if you do get laid off, you have more options. You're in control. You're empowered. And now with technology, with the gig economy, with different things, there's a lot of ways that, especially for a single person with no kids, there's a lot of options. Or a divorced empty nester. Even if you're divorced and you're an empty nester, all right, now it's time to focus on you again. I mean, you got to, regroup on your life, So, you can change your life. There was a season of my life, like I said, when I was in theology or when I was in just trying to figure out my voice. I was really like trying to figure out, can you really change your life? Or are we just all dealt to certain hands and like there's no hope? Now, I can't answer for every single person, right? Every situation is different. But I do know from my own life experience, okay, that if you put the work in, and you got to get a little bit lucky, but I think the more work you put in, the more luck is in your odds, more luck is in your favor. I think you can change your life to a certain extent, okay? And again, faith without works is dead, and it's like, don't mind fuck it, but don't forget that you need some breaks. Don't be too boastful in your works. Don't be too boastful in your works, but at the same time, you have to work. Your dreams don't work if you don't work. Now, the good part about life is that you can do things on the side that are your passion, do some things you don't want, and as you live below your means, you have more choices over what you do for work. And you can develop your passion, develop your time and your gifts, and, figure out what makes you tick and what gets you excited, and spend more time doing that and less time, in the rat race. Mike Reed, Sam, what comes to your mind when you think about death and the final days of this earth? Well, a good question. A few things. One is it's a relief. Every year I get older, like I'm excited, like it's one year I'm closer to getting the hell out of this earth. I don't love this world or anything in it. At the same time, I'm not like suicidal as far as like doing that, and I'm not overly pessimistic where I try to enjoy my life as best I can because I'm here and I'm not going to commit suicide. I mean, if things got really horrible, no one can say that, but I'm here to try to make the most out of my life while I'm here. But I'm not clinging to this earth. Like, I don't want to live to be 150. I don't want to live forever on this earth. I'll be, now I don't want to suffer. I've been on the hospital bed where I felt like I was going to die and I was scared. I don't like to see people I know die. I've had some friends that have died. Of course, I always tell you guys my dog dying was devastating. I probably see my mom die. It's a piece of your soul dies. There's a piece of my soul that has died several times. And, so I don't like that part of this world. But I can't do anything about it, so I don't mind fuck it. You know what I mean? Like, I used to mind fuck it and it used to get me upset, but then I just let it go. And I just try to live my life one day at a time, and I try to manage my time. I do things during the course of the day I don't want to do, whether they're work, laundry, whatever. I live below my means so I can do more of what I want to do, but I still do what I have to do. And I try to find things I enjoy, things that discipline me and things that focus me. And I just keep refining it. And through progressive steps, my life gets a little bit better, and it's a different season of life. I try not to go backwards. And even like I beat myself up a little bit, past couple of weeks, because I know over the summer, I had some failure. I didn't do anything bad, but I just don't like the way certain things happened and that I was around. I don't like it, and I realized I just shouldn't have put myself in a position. Again, I didn't do anything, so I don't feel guilty, but you don't have to physically do things to just not feel good about where you are in life. And so I know for me, you can't focus on yesterday. You got to learn from yesterday. Paul the Apostle, he had that one part in the scriptures where he says, I put all my strength in focusing on what's ahead of me, not what's behind me. And he used to torture people. He wrote 2/3 of the New Testament. And this guy was like harsh guy. But then he became like, he had like this revelation in the desert, and he got blinded, and he like found Jesus, and he got better perspective on life. But, look, there's no matter how much we mind fuck it, we're all going to die. So I've just accepted it. I don't want to suffer when it's that time. But I don't want to spend my life living around people that make me feel dead. I don't want to spend my life living around relationships that I feel inadequate or that I feel like I have to be someone else to make them happy. That's why I do like a minimalistic life, because I don't have to, like, suck anyone's dick on YouTube. Now I play the game when it comes to, like, the number one career job, and so I play the game, but I take my liberties in my creative space. You know what I mean? And that's what you have to do in life. You can't go around telling everyone to go fuck themselves. But when you do what you need to do in your private space or in your creative space, you can take that liberty. So, and look, guys, other than like expressing my mind on YouTube, I don't go around telling anyone to go fuck themselves, because there's no value in it. Like, it's just going to cause conflict. I try to avoid conflict. Now, again, I'll protect myself if I need to, but that's bullshit. I've seen enough of that shit. I don't want to get involved in any of that shit. So, look, I'm 40 years old. I'm technically halfway through my life on this earth. The average life expectancy for a human is 80. So I'm 40. I'm halfway through life. And all I can tell you is I want to get through life with as least suffering as possible. I want to have healthy relationships. And if they're not healthy, I don't want them in my life. I want to live below my means so I'm not on the hook to other people. I want to take care of my health as best I can. I saw my mom. One thing I learned from her is, like, she really didn't take care of her health, and she suffers for it. And I don't want to do that, and there's no guarantee for me. And I saw my father be too anal. He was so particular about his health. I don't think he had like OCD. He never got over it. I try to find balance for me. So, that's kind of how I look at it. Good question, Mike. Love to you, brother. Yeah, but it'll be another nice night to camp in the car, because it'll be moderate temperatures. I'll have my fan. It'll be perfect. And as I get closer to Florida, it allows me to dream and inspire more at night. I don't feel like I'm stuck in this endless loop. And I'm grateful for that, because, I've also learned how important environment is. Not just living in your car because you are in the environment more, but, the people and the places you hang out with, it affects you, and it affects your creativity. It affects your peace. And as you get older, less time for bullshit. Mike Reed, looks like a nice sunset. Yeah, in the back, yeah, it is. So it'll start to, the sun will start to go down earlier as we get into the fall season, and the earth is rotating around the sun. Now, in Florida, the sun still sets early, just like in any other part of the country. Now, there are talks about eliminating daylight savings and keeping an extra hour of sunlight in Florida. I think they tried to pass that a couple times. I think they might eventually pass that. Mike, you might have heard of that, because Mike lives in Broward County. So, I would be for that, So, it would put a different time zone. Like right now, Florida's on the Eastern Standard Time Zone. So if they eliminated daylight savings, it would probably mess up some business transactions, but it would just add another time zone. There's already, I don't know, what is there, like 3 or 5 time zones in the United States of America? There's Eastern Time Zone, Western, Central. Maybe there's 3. I don't know if there's 4. I think there's 3. But yeah, even in Florida, I remember asking that. Shout out to my friend Karen. I used to bug her with, when you do mature. I remember bugging. I had a friend, Karen, I met online. She was a good person. She's from Melbourne, Florida. And I remember bugging her, asking her all these questions about Florida. Now I look back at it, I said, man, I must have been bothering her. And I remember I asked her that. I said, well, does the sun set later in Florida? And she's like, nah, it sets the same. So I don't know why I was thinking. Mike, yeah, I remember it getting dark in New England. Yeah, about 4:30. Winter totally miserable. That's true. Yeah, that messes up my mindset. ESP, shout out to Alaska. Yeah, Alaska has its own time zone. Does it? I didn't know that. Thank you, ESP. Yeah, the one thing I always say that I remember with Alaska, maybe you know this, ESP, because again, she lives in Alaska out of her NV200. I remember the movie with Al Pacino when he went to Alaska to solve a crime mystery. I guess it was the time of year in Alaska where I think there's sunlight, like, I don't know, like 20 hours out of the day. And it was like messing his internal clock up, and he couldn't sleep. And then I think the other half of the year is like dark most of the day and like only a couple hours of sunlight. Alaska has an extreme environment, extreme climate. That's why they pay people to live there. You get the petroleum dividend because they say, shit, if you're willing to live in Alaska and you're willing to bear, you're going to get a dividend. Now, a lot of people, and ESP loves Alaska. There's a lot of a natural beauty there that people get really inspired by. Like, it's a love-hate. Alaska, like any extreme thing, is a love-hate state. Like Florida's a love-hate state. You either love Florida or you hate it. Alaska is either you love it or you hate it because it has an extreme environment, right? It's frozen tundra. And Florida's tropical paradise. So some people get upset, especially in September with Florida, like, damn, I want fall. I want moderate temperatures. I'm tired of all this heat. Like some people get upset in Alaska, like, damn, I want summertime, ESP is more extreme the further north you are. Okay. He was supposedly in Barrow. Okay. I didn't know that. That makes sense. Alaska is a huge state. So that makes sense. And that's similar to Florida, right? Like if you're in North Florida, St. Augustine, that has a different climate than Miami, which and Miami's all the way at the tip of Florida, so I experienced that. And I will say then that makes sense, so even within a state, there's a different temperature and there's also a different culture. You can go to the same state. Like some people say, Sam, I go to this state, all the politics should be the same. All the culture should be the same. No way. Like there's parts of Florida you go, it's very conservative. And there's parts you go, it's very diverse and progressive. And parts of Florida you go, it's like this tropical paradise. Parts of Florida you go, it's agricultural. So, especially with bigger states, you have to go. And I would definitely say anyone looking to possibly buy a home base, don't just blindly buy on the internet. I almost did that. Don't blindly buy on the internet, especially if you live in your car or live as a nomad. Go and travel in that state, visit at different times of the year, different times of the seasons, and really get a feel for the vibe. Because again, owning property it's like getting married. It's a huge commitment, So, yeah, but ESP, when do you plan on, do you ever, what's your timeline, if any, to travel outside of Alaska? Or do you see yourself there for at least another 5-10 years? I see myself leaving New Jersey and definitely probably within 5 weeks. I'll tell you that. Forget 5 years, I'm done. I don't know, man. It's amazing, like, how much time changes. I've been living in my car for 3 going on 4 years, but when I first started living in my car, I was just so happy to get out of the entanglement of a house. I lived for the first 12 months in New Jersey because I was tied to an office. But I didn't mind at all because I was just so intense. And now I don't think I could do that again. And that's why when you have an opportunity, you got to seize that, Mike. Sam, what do you think about Hawaii? I like the climate, but I don't like that it's on an island. The same reason I really don't like the Florida Keys. I don't like to be isolated on an island. If I want to leave Hawaii, I want to be able to start my car and go. I can't. You got to fly out of there. And they have different islands on, so I like flat land. Hawaii is mountainous. Okay, so I know I like flat terrain. I like to be able to drive on highways. I like to be able to drive on I-95. If I want to get out of Florida, I'm out of Florida. Like if an earthquake comes, I'm not going to just get out of Hawaii. I like to be able to get out. I don't like to feel trapped. And I would feel trapped in Alaska, trapped in Hawaii, because they're separated from the mainland. And I like to be connected because I like to know in my mind I can get the hell out of Dodge if I have to. That's why I like living in my car, because I don't like to feel trapped. You know what I mean? So that's a good question. I like the atmosphere like that it shows, but I could never see myself living in Hawaii. And I'm an Atlantic Ocean guy. I need that energy, the vibes off the Atlantic Ocean. Like, the west coast of Florida, the Gulf of Mexico is low energy. The waves aren't there. In the Pacific Ocean, it's not Caribbean. I like the Asian culture, but it's the vibe. I like the deep Latin, Haitian, international, Russian, American. I like that deep culture in Southeast Florida. Nothing's perfect. You get tired of everything, but I like Southeast Florida's got that mix that hits me just right. You know what I mean? ESP. I have my mailbox and other stuff here. I plan to always have Alaska as my home base. Love to you. I'll become more nomadic after I get my freelance work paying me more. Okay. I don't want to quit my 9 to 5 yet. That's wisdom. Keep your 9 to 5, have supplemental disability insurance, stack up your 401k, stack up your emergency fund, because when you're young and middle aged, that's the time to secure the bag. Because as you get older, you want to work less. Good job. ESP. I see myself here for at least one more year. Good plan. Realistically, you're a very smart woman. I'm very proud of you, ESP. You've always been very calculated. Now, again, you got to take some risk, but I like that you put planning and thought into your life, because you took a risk for a woman to live in her car in Alaska. That's risky, but she took her time. She was intentional, and I give her a lot of credit. Mike says, no. Love to you, Mike. Again, I appreciate you, Mike. I know you've been just a great supporter. Thank you again, Gangster Talk. Thank you, Savat. Thank you, Truth. Thank you, all my members. Mike, ESP, will you get a tiny house there? Yeah, I know I've talked about tiny houses, but well, I don't want to say I'll never get a tiny house, because I've been looking at some like mobile homes in Florida, which is like a tiny house. They're under 500 square feet. I'm not going to say never. I know ESP is going to answer for her, but I'm just trying to talk out the question in my mind. I would consider a tiny house or a mobile home in Florida. I would consider it. Have to be under 500 square foot. But usually with them, you usually tie yourself in an HOA, which I'm not totally against. And it's just, you're stuck. And you got insurances. And I don't know, man. Something about living on wheels that, at least mentally, I don't know. But I would possibly be willing to compromise with a small tiny house or a small mobile home in some parts of Florida. But it's still a little bit of a tough sell for me. But I'm conscious of time. Look, I mean, as I get older, again, I'm going to increase stability. I mean, you guys are going to see it. I mean, God willing, if I'm still making videos, if YouTube's still viable, and if we're still connected, I mean, eventually I will add more comfort, more stability, but I want to do it at a very measured way. Because as you get older too, you got less opportunities to get it wrong. So, and, I don't know. Love to you, Gangster Talk. Hang in there, brother. Yeah, what I tell you in life too, man. Again, I want to go back to that thing I was thinking about today, is just really try to avoid saving people. And I don't mean that in a negative way. But I mean that in a way, when you become an adult, you can't change people. So it's such a huge trap that we get lured into, maybe with good intentions, but all that ends up happening is we suffer and the people we're trying to save suffer. Because there's a certain part of life that people need to figure it out for themselves, or they don't want to be smothered. And, you got to give people space. ESP says land, definitely. And then she says, nothing is set in stone. That's true. That's true. Mike Reed says, yep. All right, guys and girls, I think we ran the course tonight, and I want to thank everyone again for watching. I hope my videos help you in some way. Again, this is just a relaxed video today because I want to be true to the moment I'm in. If I'm intense and I'm focused on something, I share it. If I'm laid back and I'm just kind of like generally expressing myself, I want to be true to that moment. I don't want to fake it. So again, hopefully all the videos, whatever perspective I'm coming from, they add some value to your life. Thank you to all my members. Thank you, Gangster Talk, for the tips. Again, Mike Reed, ESP, Savat, Truth out there. And again, Gangster Talk. Love to you guys. Be safe. Keep pushing forward one day at a time. And we'll go from there. Peace.